since the flight department started at Salt River in 78, there's only been 3 department managers, directors, and so I'm the third one, and the other 2 have been pilots. So I didn't think I had a chance as coming from the maintenance side, but thankfully I did. It's a good compliment because I can focus on, I know pilots want to fly, and I don't blame them. That's their career field, and so it takes the focus away sometimes from a busy flight department and when they get pulled to fly. So the company decided let's pivot to a non-flying manager role, so you can focus on managing the flight department as we keep growing. So that's the reason I kind of went this way, which if I wanted a mechanic, since that was my background, I wouldn't have time now. Just like a pilot wouldn't have time because we would just keep growing.
Welcome to the Helicopter Podcast, your go-to source for all things rotorcraft. I'm Halsey, bringing you the stories, insights, and conversations from around the helicopter industry. Whether you're a seasoned pilot, a maintainer, or you're just passionate about helicopters, this is the podcast for you. Thank you to this episode's sponsors: Quantum Helicopters, Metro Aviation, and Airbus. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Halsey with the Helicopter Podcast, and I'm coming at you with another fun conversation, and I'm just absolutely feeling lucky and excited to be sitting in the seat having these conversations. And it's a big thanks to you, the listeners, for making this possible. If you all weren't listening, I probably couldn't get people on the show. I probably couldn't have started the relationship with Vertical Magazine. It's all because of you. So really appreciate that. Speaking of Vertical Magazine, shout out to MHM Publishing and making the podcast possible on their Vertical HeliCASTS platform. If you haven't checked out the Vertical HeliCASTS platform, I highly encourage that you do. It's not just my podcast. It's the Hangar Z, the Real Rescue, the Vertical MRO. Great place. One-stop shop for anything helicopter podcast related. And I believe as we're recording this today, the Vertical MRO conference is kicking off as the inaugural event up in Canada. So congrats to the MHM team for putting that together. And if you're curious about learning more about the next Vertical MRO conference that's happening in Texas in just a couple weeks, make sure that you look it up on the Vertical MRO. Mark Wegele, did I say it right? Wegele.
Yeah, close enough. Wegele. So you got it. So there you go.
Damn it. I even wrote it down and everything. I got excited. Mark Wegele.
There you go.
Is my guest today, joining me from Phoenix, Arizona. Currently the director of operations for the Salt River project. And admittedly, Mark, I had to look that up. I wasn't familiar. So let's actually start there. We're going to start with what you're doing now, and then we'll kind of dissect and figure out, your background, very extensive background. I was thinking I was going to come on the podcast and see an old guy with gray hair, but you look young. You look too young for the resume. So congratulations on clearly a very successful career, traveling all over the world, being in crazy areas like Afghanistan. Sounds like you met your wife in Afghanistan, which we'll have to talk about. Craziness. So really excited to dive into this. So yeah, tell me a little bit about the Salt River project and exactly your role and what that organization does.
Yeah. So most people, unless you receive power or water from us, you don't really know about us. Salt River Project, we were founded before it was even a state. Arizona was even a state. A bunch of farmers put their land up collateral because their farmlands kept flooding. So with the Bureau of Reclamation, so that's the federal part of the government side of Salt River Project, they built dams to keep their land from flooding, and we still control those dams, the water reservoirs, and then the power that came from that. We supply over 50% of the drinking water for the Phoenix metro area, plus power about 3 million customers.
Wow, it's kind of a unique name. Do you know anything behind the name of like the Salt River Project? I was, went to Google yesterday of, hey, what is the Salt River Project? And I was thinking it was going to be something different than, say, a electricity utility and water utility.
Yeah, so the Salt and the Verde River are where we get majority of our water from for the Phoenix metro area. So the Salt River is one of those rivers.
Oh, interesting. And what exactly is your role within the organization? And tell me a little bit about the flight department and what you guys are doing every single day with aircraft.
Oh yeah, so I manage the flight department. We have 3 helicopters, 1 fixed-wing jet, and a drone side, and we use those aircraft to maintain, the transmission grid, distribution, build that side out, do a lot of construction. Also, in addition to that, the water side. So we'll do snowpack surveys, so we know how much snow melt there's going to be to fill the reservoirs, how much water we need to let out of the dams, monitor water samples up and down the rivers. We do eagle surveys, fish restocking, you name it. We're kind of all over it. And then we use, the jets to get to our remote power plants and move parts across country.
And what kind of helicopters are you all operating?
So we have a Bell fleet, 429, 412 EPX, and a 212 HP.
Awesome. Now, I got to backtrack here a little bit. You restocking for fish, you said, from the helicopter?
Yeah, so we actually, instead of using a Bambi bucket to put fires out, we use it to stock fish. So they'll fill the Bambi bucket and we'll place it out there and dump them in the lake.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What kind of fish? Like trout?
No, they use different fish. They're all these prehistoric fish that are endangered for some of the lakes. They'll make sure Fish and Game, so they'll ask us, hey, can you do this for us? So we'll do that. And we also use fish in our canals for algae management.
Yeah, really interesting. And to me, it just highlights, and I say this all the time on the show, Mark, that helicopters serve so many unique missions. And so much of our national and international economy and well-being is on the back of helicopters. Everything from putting, endangered fish species back into lakes and helping, decrease the algae, all these crazy things, right, that you just don't suspect. And so I truly believe that if you look at anything we do in life, I got a Sharpie in my hand. Somehow a helicopter helped this Sharpie come into existence, and my phone here, and just everything, right? So it's just crazy. I love helicopters, and I don't think we've ever talked about restocking. I've heard about firefighting helicopters sucking up a fish here or there, but never the idea of using a helicopter to deliver fish. So that's pretty cool. Now, I understand that historically your role would be really that of a pilot, right? Like a pilot or someone with flying experience would be the best person for this role. Obviously, you have a background in maintenance, and you were chosen for this role. So are you the first non-pilot to be in this position? And tell me a little bit about like the day in the life.
Yeah. So, typically it's a pilot. And since the flight department started at Salt River in 78, there's only been 3 department managers, directors. And so I'm the third one, and the other 2 have been pilots. So I didn't think I had a chance as coming from the maintenance side, but thankfully I did. And it's a good compliment because I can focus on, I know pilots want to fly, and I don't blame them. That's their career field. And so it takes the focus away sometimes from a busy flight department and when they get pulled to fly. So the company decided, let's pivot to a non-flying manager role, so you can focus on managing the flight department as we keep growing. So that's the reason they kind of went this way, which if I wanted a mechanic, since that was my background, I wouldn't have time now. Like a pilot wouldn't have time because we would just keep growing.
Good on that organization for recognizing that, though. It's actually one of the qualms that I have with the industry. And if you're listening to the podcast and you're newer to the industry, you'll see what I'm talking about. But a lot of times what companies will do, and it makes sense to a point, is they'll bring in, say, a very experienced pilot, obviously, to be their chief pilot, which that makes sense, right? As a 135 operator, you have to have experience and aeronautical experience. But that pilot wants to continue to be a pilot. And it's very hard to be a manager when you're flying all the time. That's like, it's one of the weird weird professions where you can't do really both, right? So for me, for example, I had to make a choice, 6, 7 years ago, like, hey, I think I want to sell aircraft full time because I couldn't do halftime anymore, right? And when I'm flying, I'm flying. Can't answer the phone. You can't respond to emails. And so it makes it very challenging. So I'm guessing that your flight department runs quite well because there's actually managerial oversight, because you're doing what a manager is supposed to do. So I'm glad to hear that your organization's doing that. And I hope others kind of catch on to that same MO. Now, are you in charge of hiring pilots?
Yes. Yep.
So obviously, this being the helicopter podcast, you guys are flying the 412, the 212, and the 429, some pretty awesome iron on the helicopter side. What kind of requirements are you guys looking at for aeronautical experience? And when you're interviewing, say, two similar candidates that have the same aeronautical experience, what are you looking for to kind of, figure out who will be the best person to be within the organization?
Well, it's funny you bring this up right now because we just finished a plethora of interviews that fill a position. And we don't have positions open up very often. Usually if you come here, you stay until retirement. It's your last job. That's where we'd like that to be anyway. So typically it used to be dual rated pilots. We'd always want dual rated pilots. You wanted a minimum of 3,500 hours. You want HEC time, NVG, dual. I mean, you're looking for a unicorn, and that gets pricey too if you're going to pay for that. But then it turns into too many makes and models of various aircraft to be sending people to training all the time too. So we broke that apart, said helicopter only, fixed wing only. On the helicopter side, 3,500 hours minimum, minimum 10 years experience, must have vertical reference precision, long line vertical reference, the HEC, so external rescue hoist, short haul work, because that's about 50% of our work. And it never used to be, but that's where we're going, keeping a lot of stuff in-house. NVG stuff, if I haven't mentioned that, dual engine, Bell medium. So even then, you're still really narrowing.
You're still looking for a fairly qualified human at that point.
Sure. So we're not the place that you want to go for training, you starting off in your career. We want somebody that's built their time and then, wants to settle down. But it can be hard. Phoenix, it's hot. It can be miserable here. And if you aren't familiar or from here, getting somebody to move here adds another layer of complication to it.
Yeah, I mean, very hot environment. It's been a nice place. I like Phoenix. I was having a conversation recently with a friend, and they're like, "Oh, I could never live there." I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like I could. I lived in Vegas for a little while, and I loved living in Vegas.
Yeah.
Minus the 120 degrees, it got a little old. But honestly, like I would almost prefer the 120 versus like when I lived in San Antonio, and it was like, 100 with 100% humidity. There is a difference. So I definitely am open to like the drier, warmer climate. Now you mentioned short haul. You guys are slinging human beings?
Yep. We do that. We have an air chair. We do a lot of that. We're kind of branching into the hot work off of that too, the bare hand stuff.
So for people like me that don't know what that means, what does that mean?
Yeah. So live lines, 500 kV, whatever, working on those instead of de-energizing them. In the past, we started out in the 90s and 93, putting an external hoist on our 212 and using it. We were, one of the first in the country to use it, not as rescue, but to put line crews on top of these structures, lower them down, and they would climb down. They call it climb and shake the structure and document anything that was bad. And that saves them climbing. And so when they get down to the ground, you take a side-by-side, pick them up, and then the helicopter goes to an LZ, all the linemen get back on, and you do this again. So you're doing 60 to 90 structures a day like that. But it saves all this wear and tear climbing up and down. Other companies started doing that. The FAA changed the rules on the 212 years ago. So hence we bought 412 with the external hoist on it. But we use our 429 for short haul work, putting guys up on the structures, changing marker balls out. These remote locations in Arizona are mountainous terrain that you can't get a bucket truck in. These guys would have to hike miles up in the mountains. So they're beat by the time they get there, and then hauling equipment. The helicopter is the way to do it. It's so efficient.
Yeah, it's wild. Talk about very skilled professionals climbing out of the helicopters too. I mean, how long does it take a lineman to go from being a lineman to propelling out of a helicopter on a hoist?
Yeah, so there's only certain groups within the company that are approved for this. We do refresher training every year. And if we have any new guys that are part of these teams, we go through training with them. But yeah, it's a small group. Not every lineman in the company does this.
Yeah, really, really cool and unique. So back to my original question, you got two guys and they have this identical experience. What are some of the factors that you look at to distinguish if you want to hire the person or not?
Well, I mean, somebody that, something that we all kind of forget about, but personality is huge. You've got to be able to fit in with the team and be a team player. And so that's weighs a lot, not only your skills, but if you have two that are pretty identical, we'll bring them in, interview them, fly them, put a long line on, see those skills. And I usually involve the rest of the pilots in this process so that I can get their input. That way, if there's somebody, if it was just me and I hired and it doesn't work out, hey, you shouldn't have hired this guy. No, everybody's part of this decision. So everybody has buy-in on it.
Yeah, that's smart.
And it's worked out. So it's just a conversation, who would be the best fit, skill set, personality, all those things.
Yeah, I mean, I think oftentimes people forget that, one of the most important things that you can do in an interview is to be your authentic self. And every personality is different, right? So, I'm kind of more of a talker and I'm good at talking. Hence, I have a podcast. Interviewing was always a skill that I was good at. And I know that sometimes interviewing can be harder for other individuals, but it's just go in there and be yourself. I mean, I think that's kind of the easiest thing. You don't need to, some companies aren't looking for the guy that's good at talking necessarily like I am, right? They might want someone that's a little more laid back, a little more chill. So it's just go in there, be yourself. It's always, I've been in experiences in the past where I've hired people based on interviewing really well. And then their true colors kind of come evident past. And it's kind of like, man, I wish you would have just been a little more authentic in the interview, because it just doesn't cause anything good down the road. So pilot schedule, what does that look like for the Salt River project?
Thank you to our sponsor, Quantum Helicopters. For over 2 decades, Phoenix PD, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Mesa PD, and the Pinell County Sheriff's Office in Arizona have trusted Quantum Helicopters for primary flight training. We've helped boost their efficiency, cut costs, delivered unmatched quality, and keep them focused on public safety. Don't just take our word for it. Reach out and see how we can deliver the same results for your agency. Visit quantumhelicopters.com to learn more.
So what we do, I know we have a lot of competition there too with 7 on, 7 off on the EMS world, or 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So we don't do that. We have such a small group. It's 4 10s typically. So you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. However, it's kind of flex. If you don't have a flight that day on your normal day, you don't have to come in. Just make sure you're all squared away, ready to go. You're available within an hour. By call, we have something come up. So that works. It gives you a little bit of time, to get things done at home or whatever, just be available. And then on weekends, say we do crew hauls, haul people to the power plant for a couple months straight, 7 days a week. Everybody knows this is coming up. Please be available, during this time. You fly 6 days, get your 7th day off. But then we have monsoon season, which storms will hit, take out power lines. And we don't have an on-call for it, but we ask, hey, who's going to be around this weekend? Are you going to be around? Okay, yeah, come on in. But so that's the way, it's just give and take. Pretty flexible. Come in, get your job done. You can go home. You don't have to sit around and stare at the wall for 10 hours. You have nothing going on. Just be available.
Yeah, that's really nice. And are you guys doing maintenance in-house as well?
Yeah, all maintenance is done in-house. Even component overhauls to a certain extent on the bells. We just found we can control the quality a lot better. The maintenance technicians usually all worked at Bell service centers in the past or so. We have very qualified people, and it's just like the pilot side, the mechanic side, minimum 10 years experience, and you're looking for a unicorn again. And then we also have the fuel truck. They're also CDL hazmat tanker endorsed, so they do that. They're hoist operators, they're IAs, they're your multiple things. They work on the jets too and the helicopters. So we ask a lot of people, but it's a really good group.
Now, it's interesting because, one of the hard parts, in my opinion, of being a manager is people, right? People can be very difficult. People have different personalities. In different environments, stress can cause people to do weird things and whatnot. And I would actually say that in aviation, there's maybe an ego also that's kind of on the higher end, right? A lot of us pilots and mechanics are type A. A lot of pilots that are the best pilot, a lot of mechanics that are the best mechanics. And I'm guessing that a lot of that, again, gets kind of worked out in the interview process. But how do you, as a manager of both mechanics and pilots, kind of navigate just the complexities of working with other humans and managing other humans that might be very, again, skilled people within their career field, obviously, and maybe on a little bit more on the type A side?
Yeah, I would say almost everybody here is type A, but we get along. And if something comes up, you'll be mad about 5 minutes and let's go grab lunch. We're good, and there's no big deal. But in the past, there's always been rifts at places that have been between pilots and mechanics, and it could be an ego thing, it could be whatever. But here, we don't have that, and it's very easy to manage. If you put the wrong person in there, that could throw everything off all the way around. So it's figuring out what make people tick. What makes people tick, their motivation, and managing each person. Finding out how to do that, and that is the hardest part as the manager with people. But I'm lucky to have such a great team that it's not hands off, but they know what needs to be done. They're experienced. No one needs to micromanage them.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to know, right? As a manager, sometimes you need to know when to step back a little bit. I run my own business, and I think especially when it's your own business, it's almost like your child, right? And so when you're allowing someone to steward for you, it's like, oh man, it's almost like having a babysitter. And you're like, I would maybe do it this way or that way. And, you have to learn that you have to let people kind of go through and do their thing. Well, that's really neat, Mark. The Salt River Project, again, you learn something new every day. Are you guys, I know a lot of other utilities, have their internal fleet and then they contract out for some external flying and whatnot. Are you guys contract out with other operators? Are you just doing everything in-house?
We try to do everything in-house. The only stuff that I've ever seen external is where we have a big construction project and we can't keep up with it because we don't have enough linemen. And so they'll bring their own linemen in, bring their own helicopters in to do that. But as far as typical maintenance and even construction, we've done that. But on some of these massive projects, no. We try to keep everything in-house. We know our grid very well. It's a safety thing. Not to say other people that contract out, it's not safe. But, we know our own system probably better than anybody.
And you mentioned drones. What are you all doing with drones?
Yeah, so drones, we have multiple drones and even submersibles for at the dams. We control that in here too. So it's not just a flight department, but we use those and they complement the helicopters very well. We have LiDAR for the helicopters and we have LiDAR for the drones. That same group does all the overlays and manages that in the flight regime for the helicopter. We'll map the forest with it, figure out what trees need to be cleared, for the water runoff. So we don't want those debris getting into our drinking water. So we manage a lot of that. The drones, we inspect our power plants with them, gas generation units, hydro units. Example, one of our penstocks intake for the dams, it has a carbon LiDAR. It needs to be inspected every year. It used to take almost 2 weeks to do it by setting up scaffolding and rappelling down. Now it takes about an hour. With this drone, we fly it up there, maps it, and you're done.
That's insane.
We even have the submersibles. We'll fly the guys out to the dams with the helicopter. They'll get out, put it in, inspect the trash tracks that suck debris in, or you don't want debris sucked into the hydro units. Instead of putting divers down 200 some feet, we use the submersibles.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, we've even volunteered with some of the local police departments to find missing persons in water, and where the divers couldn't find them, and we ended up finding with our submersibles. So
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where the world's going. Do you ever see in our lifetime that, say, drones from an aerial application aspect will replace helicopters completely?
I don't think so. Part of me, I was coming from the helicopter side. I was always against drones. These, they're a toy. They're just for videos and photos, and now my attitude's completely changed. But completely replacing helicopters, no, I don't think so. I think there's a good place or a right tool for every job.
Yeah, I had a podcast during Heli Expo this year, and it was interesting. It was a drone operator, and of course, I don't have it in front of me, and I'm blanking on the name, but acquired by Robinson Helicopters. And really, the cool thing is, I think it's Ascent Aerosystems.
Find that episode by looking for number 124, featuring Peter Fuchs, Amber Harrison, and Rob Bentley Johnston on the future of drone tech.
It was an interesting conversation, and what I gathered from the conversation is that, like you, there was a period where a lot of people were like, "Oh, drones," ugh. I felt the same way actually for a long time. And now I think we're getting to a point where we see that I think both worlds can exist and coexist together and actually then work together. I think one of the cool things that Ascent was doing was working on ways that the drone could actually be deployed from the helicopter. And then, whether it's, mapping a fire or doing, law enforcement security, could be aerial imaging like you guys are using for LiDAR. It's almost like this symmetry of work together, not a replacement. I think there's other things that are probably at higher risk of replacing, traditional helicopter, right? We look at, say, the eVTOLs and things like that. But, I think the drones and helicopters are going to have a really nice union. And it's really neat to see operators utilizing both platforms. So cool to hear that you guys are doing that. How many people are you managing on a day-to-day basis?
I think we have about 26 total in the department.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and they're that's including contractors, FUDs, and that's how sometimes we get pilots or mechanics. We bring them on part-time, and they help us fill in during this busy time or whatever, and then that gives us a way to test them to see if they're going to work out, maybe when a full-time position opens up.
Totally.
Yeah, so total about 26, not all full-time employees, though.
That's awesome. Well, congrats to the position that you hold there. Seems like a really neat operation. If someone's interested in, say that they're a guy or a gal that is listening to this podcast and they're on the higher time, they have everything. They got the MVG time, they got the external load time, they got the short haul time. How does one even start that process of getting an interview with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, the door's always open. If you want to come by, say hi, get your face known around here, that's great. Give me a call. I'm okay with that. But like I said, positions don't open up very often. So you just have to keep watching SRP's website or maybe Just Helicopters or LinkedIn or any of those to see if we have an opening. And we got asked if we do internships and stuff. And mechanic, we've done that once with some of the A&P schools. But even after they're done with the internship, we can't really hire you because you don't have the experience. But it helped them get a job with another company with that. But pilot side, we don't do any internships or anything.
Yeah,
but you're welcome to stop by. Just keep your eye out for openings.
Yeah, really cool. Well, I'm interested to learn more about the Salt River project. You're also on the VAI board. Tell me about that, why you decided to run, I guess, for election. And for those who might not be familiar with VAI, or at least maybe VAI from a sense of what does the board do, tell me just about that.
Yeah, so like anything, I want to keep learning and growing and contributing to the industry because we're all a little bit nuts that love helicopters, I think. We're a little eccentric when it comes to them. So this was something I wanted to kind of give back. What can I do for the industry? Can I advocate, for the helicopter side of things or the vertical aviation side of it? So why not, try to add one more thing to the plate? But it's it's my way of trying to give back if I can do something good for the industry. So that was the reason behind it. And so what the board does, they there's a staff of VAI that do an amazing job. They put on, the Heli Expo or now Verticon.
I was going to say, you're going to get yourself in trouble calling it that, Mark.
No, and it's hard for me. Yeah, I want to say HAI all the time, and Heli Expo.
I think I'm finally past it, but it took me a long time. And then actually last year I learned, VAI is a sponsor of the podcast. So thank you for that. And I always mention, I like to mention in conversation when I can, I like to mention my sponsors, a little extra, right? And one of the feedback I got was like, hey, well, you keep calling the show VAI. I'm like, well, yeah, isn't it like the VAI Verticon show? It's like, well, no, it's just Verticon. So that's where I keep messing up. I keep just saying, oh, are you going to VAI? But what I should be saying is Verticon. So if you're listening and you're confused, we had HAI and it was rebranded to now VAI, essentially to be more inclusive to the evolving industry of, say, eVTOL, drones, vertical lift, right? Anything that's, takes off and lands like a helicopter.
Correct.
And so now instead of saying HAI, we say VAI, and the show is Verticon. So we got to be careful, Mark. We're going to get in trouble here.
Yeah. No, I get myself in trouble all the time, wanting to revert back to the old. It's been so long with HAI and everything. But no, VAI, the Verticon, they put that on. They're the ones behind the scenes doing all the work for lobbying, for, like right now, Part 108, getting everybody, all the operators, their comments and putting them together, things like that. All these events, trying to be the voice of the industry. The board helps navigate some of that direction. They give a direction to the staff. Hey, we want to go this way with the industry or what happens. So that's where that comes from.
And how long have you been on the board?
I'm new. I'm one of the 5 new ones, and it was July when I took office.
And what exactly is that process like of becoming a board member with VAI?
So you run, it's a 3-year term. You run your campaign, and that the Verticon is when they'll announce who won the election. And then in July is when you take office. I actually ran under the government sector. I did not get elected. And then I got a phone call later saying, hey, a spot opened up in the government sector. And so in the bylaws, you can, if you're elected by the board, you can fill that seat to fill the remaining term, I'm only in for 1 year because I was remaining for that 3-year term was 1 year. So I'll have to run again. So you'll probably see me running for the board re-election.
You got to vote for Mark, guys. Get
That's
out there and vote.
There you go.
Who does vote, by the way? Is it us?
So if you're a operator and a member of VAI.
Those are who votes for it. Okay.
Yep.
And smear campaigns, are we getting on? No, I'm kidding. I'm going to run next year and be like, hey, don't vote for Mark, but vote for me.
There you go.
I'm way better. My hair's better.
Thankfully, I've never seen any of that. We haven't got that.
I think that would be pretty tacky. I don't think that would. Yeah. I don't think that's how you win to get on there. Yeah, no, VAI is a great organization. Been around for 75 plus years, and essentially advocating and supporting the helicopter industry and now vertical lift as a whole. And yeah, last year in Europe, I was able to sit down and have a podcast with staff member at VAI who does all the governmental affairs. And it was a great conversation. His name is blanking right now, but it was a great talk. And it was neat to learn about everything that they're doing. And
find that episode by looking for number 119 featuring Cade Clark from VAI.
How they're consistently working with, our elected officials in government to ensure that, we're not threatened as an industry. Because it's very easy, right? I mean, I even remember just a few months ago, we had that really bad accident in New York, very tragic. very visceral video, very hard video to watch of the Long Ranger, disintegrating in flight essentially. And, the next day you have your politicians, saying things that are just not accurate. They're saying things about helicopters and two-bladed rotor systems and all these things that are just not factual to the actual situation of what we saw that day. And I'm not on a soapbox criticizing our politicians, though we could. I'm just saying that there's a lot of misinformation, especially when it comes to helicopters. So being able to have dedicated members, support the cause, I think is really important. Not to mention the Verticon show is one of the, I call it like the helicopter Christmas of the year, right? It's like, it's fun. I look forward to it every year. I'll have to look forward to meeting you in person this year, Mark. I don't think we've met in person, not that I recall at least. So when you're on the board and you're part of the government side of it, what does that mean? What are you doing?
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140 plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
So there's different categories when you run. So small operator, large operator, government, and there's so many directors under each section. So that's what that means. So the company I work for is a government subsidiary because the water with Bureau of Reclamation, that's where they get that side of it. And then one of the other individuals who I was running against, but now we're both on the board, works for NASA. So it's
tough to beat NASA.
It's different competition.
That's it.
Yeah. Especially when no one's heard of SRP, hardly, huh?
Yeah, SRP with the Salt River? There's salt in rivers? What?
Yeah.
Well, no, clearly you're an extremely accomplished person and the right person to be supporting our industry as a whole, and we appreciate that. It is, I believe, a volunteer program, essentially, right? I don't think you're compensated to be on the board, not that I'm aware of, at least.
No.
And how many board members are there currently? Do you know?
There's currently 10.
There's
currently 10. There's one open seat right now.
Oh, nice. I should run.
There you go.
I'm going to do it. A vote for me, but don't vote for Mark. No, I'm kidding. You got to vote for Mark. Really cool, great organization. And Mark, look forward to meeting you this year in Atlanta at Verticon. Again, always a good time. What's your favorite location for Verticon?
Anaheim, probably. The weather's perfect every time. It's so convenient.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's neat changing it up, but I'm kind of a little biased, and it's close to Phoenix.
If you guys vote for me to join the board, I will ensure that Verticon happens every year at Anaheim. Because I agree. I just literally was recording another podcast and we were talking about how the show's in Atlanta this year. Nothing bad about Atlanta. I don't mind the Atlanta show. But man, Anaheim is the best. Everything is so compact. It's easy to get to. Disneyland's right there. I mean, it just doesn't get better. The weather's nice. Southern California. So I agree with you 100%. There's been some, I've only gone, I think this will be like my 4th or 5th year going. And I know that they've done some other places. Like, didn't they do, I know they do Las Vegas. I've never done the Las Vegas show. I think that would be fun. I'm going to NBAA next. Are you going to NBAA?
No, I'm not this year. I went last year. There's just too many things on the schedule. Otherwise, I'd love to go.
Yeah, I hear you. So I'll be going to NBAA in Vegas, next week, essentially. And then, man, but didn't they do like back when it was HAI, like somewhere in Kentucky or something? Like,
oh yeah, did Louisville?
Louisville,
Houston, Dallas, Vegas.
Is Louisville good? Is that a good show?
We only did it once. The weather was not good, so they're trying to keep it southern U.S. somewhere that time of year is good.
I know.
Orlando, it's not bad.
Yeah, Orlando would be fun. Yeah, I'm going to Europe too for European Rotors here in a month or so. I'm going with MHM Publishing. We're going to be doing a lot of podcasting. And that's the one downfall of the Europe show. This will be my 3rd year. First year was Madrid, amazing. Next year, last year was Amsterdam, also amazing. And then this year is in Cologne, Germany. So it's great, super exciting. but it's always so cold. It's November and it's like just freezing. So you don't want to really be outside. The weather's not very nice. This year, I'm really excited. We're going to do the show in Cologne. And then my business partner, Ian, and I are going to head south to the Swiss Alps. And we're going to check out Air Zermatt.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a very famous operation. Daniel, their CEO, has become a friend of mine through the podcast. So, just super excited to do that. So you grew up in Kansas. When did your passion for aviation turn into now a very long, fulfilling career in helicopter aviation specifically?
Yeah, it's, I was lucky enough. My dad took us to air shows, and I think my first helicopter ride was in Branson, Missouri, on an MD 500 years ago. Then had friends that their parents had small planes, so they just kind of planted the seed. And I always liked mechanicking, things mechanical. So I decided before I graduated high school as a junior, we took a trip to Colorado and enrolled in A&P school. So I went straight as soon as I graduated, went there. And as soon as I came out of A&P school, or actually 9/11 hit while I was in A&P school, and it was at an airport, so it was just eerily silent. And I interviewed for jobs, before, and they said, hey, 6 months before graduating, let us know, we're going to hire you. And those recruiters actually got laid off. So it wasn't a good industry. And I was going to head back to Kansas and do construction because there was no one hiring to speak up because you needed experience if they were going to pick you up. Long story short, Papillon called, said, you still interested? Turned around, went there, started my career there, and got my foot in the door with the helicopter side. And then it's just been trying to grow and learn as much as possible everywhere you go ever since. Then after a while, ended up going overseas, doing the contracting stuff for 10 years. A 5-year plan turned into 10 years. And then finally it was time to just come home and settle down a little bit. And then in a position to open up here at Salt River, because I started contracting here when I was back from overseas, keeping, my name and my foot in the door. Hey, if something opens up. So yeah, 10 years later, somebody retired and I had an opportunity here.
Are you deep into helicopters specifically because Papillon was the one who gave you that first kind of offer? Or when you went to A&P school, was it like an emphasis that you wanted to work on helicopters?
No, and I've seen this a lot in A&P schools. They don't teach much helicopter side of it.
No, they don't.
I think we had a little Schweitzer hanging from the ceiling with a tree air freshener on it. And that's what I remember for the helicopter side of it. And so that's a helicopter. We don't know what a swash plate does. Okay, moving on to the fixed wing. So that was kind of it. And at that time, I would have probably taken any aviation job just because I wanted to learn. And I interviewed with fixed wing places too. But if it wasn't for Papillon, I probably wouldn't have been in the helicopter side of it. And once you learn that and you kind of get a niche, kind of follow that. But then, I learned the fixed wing side, which I love the fixed wing too. But the helicopter has a special place.
You don't have to say that, Mark. It's cool.
Yeah.
This is the helicopter podcast. We hate fixed wing.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I'll just take that one down in the back there.
Yeah. Is that your guys' jet?
No, that is not our jet. I wish.
That's a nice jet.
That is our helicopter though. But
what kind of jet are you guys operating?
Citation Ultra.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, quite a bit of step down from that.
Yeah, a little bit of a difference, but hey, look.
Yeah.
Hey, your Citation Ultra is nicer than mine. So, yeah, it's interesting. A lot of my friends on the maintenance side have told me that very same thing. That, they went to A&P school and it was really heavily focused on airplanes. And then they just by happenstance ended up, working on helicopters. And then that ends up being the career. And I always find that somewhat cool in the idea of like, you got to remain flexible in life, right? You might think that your path is going to go one way and then it goes a different direction. And as long as you're open to accepting that direction and it's the right direction that you think is right for yourself, then amazing things can happen, right? Lifelong careers, specifically for Mark here, of just being immersed now in helicopters, to the point where he's, worked on a bunch. He's now leading a company that operates helicopters. He's part of the VAI board. I mean, helicopters are almost kind of now in your DNA, Mark. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. It's one of those things, all this rotor people, you hear the aircraft, you hear a helicopter coming, you can name that helicopter just from the sound of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, do you have like a preferred, I know you guys are operating Bell, but I know that you have experience on Airbus products and whatnot as well. Is there like, look, you can answer this however you want or not. But I've always been curious because from like a flying perspective, right? If I say fly a 407 and then I go jump in an A-Star, it's a little bit of a different feel, different pedal coordination, just a different feel, but also relatively the same, right? Like you got a collective, you got pedals, you got a cyclic, it's a helicopter. And I know from my friends that are mechanics, say like with cars, some of my friends prefer, say, working on older cars. It's easier than all the new stuff. Do you have a preferred like helicopter make model that you love working on?
I like all helicopters, I don't say that, but since Papillon at that time operated 206 B models and L models, that was kind of my first. So that was the Bell side of it. So I like Bells, but I like Airbus, MD, all of them. I worked on all of them. They all have their quirks, Sikorsky or whatever. Some things are easier than others, or why did you do this when you could have done this? And, so it depends. But, my preference, because I kind of grew up, I have that Bell side of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of your first shot. So you were probably at the south rim then of the Grand Canyon?
Or
were you in Boulder?
No, south rim. And then once I got enough experience there, then you get to go out on contracts and such, and get to travel a little bit.
Yeah, it's really quite unique. Now, you end up going overseas, and it says here Blackwater. I hear Blackwater, I think of like crazy CIA. I mean, what is Blackwater?
No, it was a great company. Eric Prince, former SEAL, was the founder of it. So they usually took a bunch of SF people, 160, whomever. So they provided private security details for diplomats, like such as ambassadors and things like that. But we used the aircraft to clear routes for those teams, provide security and such. Yeah, they had a fleet of MD 500s and 412s and 214 STs. But we would do work for the diplomats, for different government agencies. It was a good organization, no matter what you hear in the news and stuff. It was a good group, tight-knit group. So. Yeah,
I mean, incredible flying with, the 160th guys and whatnot. I mean, really the top brass of, that type of tactical war flying, right? Those guys are pretty badass dudes doing that stuff. How do you end up in that position? Because I don't think that you had a military background. So how did you end up kind of being able to work yourself into being part of that organization?
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
Yeah, so I had friends that were, former 160th and other groups. They were going overseas to do these contracts. And so, well, that'd be interesting. Can you get me in there? And I applied, and you wouldn't hear anything. And then finally, they vouched for me, and the company said basically, if you pass we'll give you a chance. If you pass all our requirements, you're in. If you don't, you're going to pay us back for every dime we spent on you getting here. And the people that vouched for you are going to be gone probably too. So,
oh wow.
So
no pressure.
They took a leap of faith, and everything worked out. And
did they take a leap of faith? It sounds like they took out an insurance policy.
Yeah. So, but it worked out for everybody, and I appreciate them, putting a good word in for me. And then that just kind of, snowballed from there, I should say.
And so you ended up overseas, like Afghanistan, Iraq, areas like that,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah. And then I think the last place was Africa, and then came home. So I think a couple years in Iraq, 5 years in Afghanistan, and then the rest of the time in Africa.
I liked what you said in your bio. In Africa, everything's trying to kill you.
Yes.
The mosquitoes, the animals, and sometimes even the people.
Yes. Yeah. You learn real fast. Water, mosquitoes. It doesn't matter how big or small. They're going to kill you. Everything. And and everybody's sick of something. Getting sick. What are you sick? I don't know. I'm just sick. And
Where in Africa were you?
Central Africa, the Congo, that kind of area. So the nice areas, the areas. South Sudan.
Pretty intense areas, right? I mean, like, what is it like just to be this normal guy being in these crazy areas that are dangerous?
No, I mean, I don't know. I enjoy the adventure, learning, seeing other cultures, whatever our cause was, being part of that. And just being such a tight knit group with a common goal. I enjoyed it. Every day was different. So.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be incredible. And what were you, like, month on, month off, or what was that schedule at that time?
It depends on what group I was working for, what company. Anywhere from 60 days on, or 30 days off, or 90 on. I think the longest I did was 30 or 6 months on. Sometimes 45 days on, 45 days off. It's just all over the world, or all over the place, and you can stay longer if you wanted to. So.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I'm sure it was a good, lucrative time as well. I know that those were nice, big contracts.
Yeah.
Obviously, big risk, though, right? High reward, high risk.
Yeah.
Kind of go hand in hand. And it sounds like maybe the best thing that came out of it is you met your wife. As one does, you're in Afghanistan, you're on the Tinder that they have in Afghanistan. Yeah, You swipe right, and then boom, like how does that happen in Afghanistan that you meet your wife?
Yeah. So, I was crewing at that time before being a lead mechanic. And so she was in the medical field, or still is, in the Army, active duty. And we had a mutual friend in the Army, and she, tried setting us up, which, hey, I'm here to work. That's not my thing. And anyhow, it was my day down not to fly, and our ops guy said, "Hey, we got to take this flight." And he's always working, scheming, working backdoor deals with other groups, and I thought it was a little odd, flying her to Kandahar, and so she was the passenger, and I guess that's those two kind of set us up, and then that was in 2011, and she was flying home. We just kept in touch, never, nothing. And, years later, I think we finally started dating in 2016 and getting married. And
man, that's cool.
Yeah. She's still in the Army. So, and works civilian side too. So
nice.
Yeah.
And you through your time have also had some side businesses and things like that. Are you just strictly full-time? I'm guessing Salt River Project is very much just a full-time, not other time to contract out or do other stuff.
Yeah, as much as I would like to, I still will do some pre-buys and side work, but it's too busy. Even the annual inspections and stuff I used to do, it's hard to find time and actually take a weekend and relax a little bit. So SRP keeps me busy,
Now, do you enjoy the management side of the house, or do you miss wrenching?
Depends on the day. There's days I just want to go back out for wrench. I miss that. On the other hand, it's hard on your body after a while, 20 plus years of it. I do like the management side, especially, the group, the tight knit group that we have, and then you have to deal with some of the other corporate that doesn't understand aviation. So that adds a whole nother complexity, and it's frustration and trying to explain what we do and justify it.
The old bean counters.
Yeah, you get that. So, if it's an aviation company, they understand aviation. But if you don't work for an aviation company that has aviation assets, that's a whole nother world. So
yeah, it's hard. Yeah. I mean, we even have clients that, sometimes are larger organizations that are in aviation, but have someone at the helm that's maybe not super knowledgeable about aviation, and it can make things difficult.
Yeah.
Because aviation is expensive.
Yes.
Lots of things add up very quickly, and can make a lot of the financial people a little bit nervous. So yeah, that's a hard balancing act. I'm guessing at SRP, having a flight department since the 70s, I mean, obviously as a company, you guys are a very familiar part of that.
Yes. Yeah, they actually in the 60s started contracting helicopters first, and they said, why don't we just do this ourselves? And now, it's grown and the services we provided. But yeah, like you said, getting this cost of parts explained to some of the people that don't know aviation or what we have to do and the reasons why can be difficult. So you spend a lot of time explaining those. Thankfully, they are willing to support us, they as in the company. You might have to explain yourself a few times, but they will support it every day. So I'm thankful for that, and it just shows with the quality of machines we have and equipment and training that we're allotted. A lot of places don't give that to their employees.
Yeah, that's excellent. Final question before we wrap up. Seems like when I talk to my maintenance friends, specifically those friends that are in charge of hiring mechanics, they're having a really hard time right now. Are you experiencing that same thing? And what is your hypothesis on why we're having a hard time of getting people involved in aviation maintenance?
Yeah, so part of that is, we're having a hard time, especially when you're asking for all these specified things. But in general, we always hear about pilot shortages, and that is a real thing too. But the mechanic side, not as many people talk about. BAI is working on Greg Brown over at BAI. He's very good at trying to, work with A&P schools and pilot sides to get the word out there and find scholarships. But so a lot of times the reason we've seen why people don't go into aircraft maintenance, it's not only the money, because that's slowly coming up, be catching up. But it's not only that, you got to have a passion for it, but the liability. You're traveling all over, especially in the helicopter world. You can be traveling all over. You're liable for so many things. Well, why don't I just go work on BMWs where I don't have hardly any liability? I can make more money, be home every night. So there's a lot of reasons why. But A&P schools, a lot of them don't teach the helicopter side of it either, and that doesn't help. But even aircraft maintenance in general, your school counselor probably didn't tell you anything about it. I know when I mentioned to my school counselor that this is where I wanted to go, I got a lot of pushback. Like, you should go to a 4-year college. You're not going to, make anything of yourself if you do that. It's so, the education all the way around.
Yeah, it's a weird time, and I really hope that maybe platforms like this one here even can help maybe interest, a young person into joining the field, whether on the maintenance side or the flying side.
Yeah.
I hope that as a society that we're moving more away from saying that you must go to like a traditional college to more of like you should go and do things that you might be really good at and passionate and excited about. Sure. Right. And I think vocational school, trade school, man, some of those careers are bangers, right? I mean, you want to be a plumber? That's a good career. You want to be an electrician? It's a great career. You want to be an aviation maintenance person? It's a great career. And there's nothing wrong with going that route, right? There's no problem, going more the blue collar, rolling up your sleeves and working on things every day. And I think that that's one of the cool things about aviation maintenance is, you truly are getting to work on really nice equipment and you're problem solving. And it takes a really intelligent person to do that stuff. And so, if you're a young person and you have a counselor that's telling you that you should do this or do that, but you know what you really want to do, follow your heart, right? You might be young, but you're not dumb. And, I think that we're probably away from the times of saying that you have to go do this, right? I didn't go to college and it's turned out great for me, right? Yeah. I went to flight school, learned how to fly, had a great flying career. I have a great business now, 2 businesses. Just hard work, right? And passion. And that to me is what's helped make me successful. So Mark, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're already up on our time there. It's a great conversation, great learning about the Salt River Project. I usually start from the beginning and then end And this was fun, kind of starting with where you're at now and then kind of peeling back the onion. A guy that doesn't look old enough to be doing everything that you've done. So congratulations on your success. And it seems like a really neat role at the Salt River Project. To our listeners, guys, thanks so much for checking out the Helicopter Podcast. It's because of you that I get to do it. So I really appreciate that. We talked a lot about VAI today. So if you are getting into helicopters, one of the best things that you can do is go to Verticon this year. It's going to be in Atlanta. It's like the one time of year where it's just a whole bunch of helicopter dorks all at one location. And there's job fairs and seminars and training and learning, all these crazy things. It's not just people trying to sell you stuff like me, right? There's actual really good substance that can come from the show. So I really suggest that you check out Verticon. If you're an owner operator and you're not part of VAI, you should consider membership with VAI. Your membership helps support their mission of protecting the helicopter industry. So it's super important work, and a great team of industry-led board members, followed by, again, like Mark said, a great staff there in Alexandria, Virginia, I think, right? Yeah, Alexandria. Beautiful place, by the way. I've been there.
Yes.
Mark, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, to MHM Publishing, thank you again for making this possible. Now, next year, Mark, I know you're going to attend the Vertical MRO conference, right?
No, I think that's great. We're actually sending a couple of the mechanics from here.
Love it. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
So stoked. You know, Mike and Litorino and the entire MHM team, incredible folks, really innovators. And I would say that the MRO, side of the house, the maintenance side of the house has been very underrepresented. And so for them to see that, recognize that, and now create this show, phenomenal. Glad to hear that you're sending people and glad to hear that you're supporting the Vertical MRO. Thanks, guys, for listening. Mark, thank you. Check you next time. Please stay tuned for a final word from our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Quantum Helicopters. For over 2 decades, Phoenix PD, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Mesa PD, and the Pinal County Sheriff's Office in Arizona have trusted Quantum Helicopters for primary flight training. We've helped boost their efficiency, cut costs, delivered unmatched quality, and keep them focused on public safety. Don't just take our word for it. Reach out and see how we can deliver the same results for your agency. Visit quantumhelicopters.com to learn more. Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140-plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.